Preparing the live stream right now. Give me 1 second.
All right, here we go.
Okay, let me make you back the host.
Okay, great. Hello, welcome to our weekly cello law webinar. Today we have a special guest. We're going to talk about third country stamping and automatic visa revalidation. And our special guest is someone who has an expertise in stamping out of Mexico. So we hope to get some really good tips from him. And then as usual, we'll have the Q&A at the end. So let me see if he is in attendance. And I don't know what his last name is, so I don't see that he's there yet. Kara, will you keep an eye out, please, and let me know if, oh, Venkatabola. Okay, there he is. I think, is Venkatabola our guest speaker today? Venkat, are you our guest speaker?
Yes, hi. Hi, Lakshmi. Hi, good morning. Yes.
Good morning. Good morning.
Morning.
So we're going to get started with our webinar. And as always, any questions you have, please put it in the chat. Please put it in the Q&A and not in the chat. Let me say that again. Please put it in the Q&A and not in the chat so that at the end, our moderator will help me with the Q&A. So let's get started. I'm going to have a little background, a little context, and then we're going to let Venkat go ahead and tell us his experience with third country processing. So let's get started.
Sure, Lakshmi. All right. Let me share the presentation. I'm just having.
Well, let me go through my basics, and then you can share the presentation.
Okay. Also, I need maybe 2 to 3 minutes for this, and just to set up the presentation. So you can go ahead, please.
Yeah. Okay. There's different ways to connect with us. You can connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, and our Telegram group, which we'll talk about in a minute. These different mechanisms or tools in which to connect, we send out our message in different ways. So this is a way in which you can get our different messages. And I always like connecting with people because it helps me understand what issues you're dealing with. And that way we can come up with resources or make sure that our efforts in communicating with the new administration about immigration policies, that we're able to be your voice. So please do that. And if you have missed any of our YouTube webinars, you can find them at youtube@cellolaw.com. Got a lot of great things in there about CSPA, how to contact immigration if you're waiting on your EAD or you have other issues, the perm process, what's the best way. So please check out our YouTube videos, subscribe to our channel, like it, comment. We'd love to hear from you. And of course, above all, share it with your friends. It's important in this day and age that as many people as possible have the information they need to achieve their immigration objective. Now, today, I'm going to quickly go over the overview in third country stamping, automatic visa revalidation, and then we'll have our special guest, Venkat, talk to us about stamping in Mexico. So, overview third country stamping. There are some things you need to consider. So what does it mean for third country stamping? If you are a citizen of another country other than Canada or Mexico, then you are able to, you're usually advised to get your visa from your home country. Sometimes that's not possible because of travel restrictions or just because, it takes so long to, especially if you're traveling to India, it takes so long to travel there. So a third country national is someone who's trying to get a US visa in which they are not a resident or citizen. So it's usually Canada or Mexico, because it's a US border country. It makes it more popular. Previously, people were going to Canada, but of late, we're seeing a lot of people, more people going to Mexico, which is why we have our guest speaker today. Now, there's certain limitations that you have to keep in mind. If you've ever been out of status or overstayed your I-94 card, you should not process as a third country national. If you are a national from countries designated as state sponsors of terrorism, so North Korea, Iran, Syria, and Cuba was added on January 12th, prior to the President Trump leaving office. And there are certain visas that won't be accepted for third country processing. So that's something you have to keep in mind as well. And I want to add to that, that if there's any problem with your paperwork, I mean, whether it's third country processing or otherwise, you don't have, if you're an H-1B that's been placed at a third party site and you don't have all your paperwork or something like that, then you've got to be cautious as well. Automatic visa revalidation. What is that? Automatic visa revalidation is certain temporary visitors, like whether with an expired non-immigrant visa. So you obtained a visa before, but it's expired, are seeking to return to the US. They may be admitted at CBP after their, so let's say you go to Mexico and it gets denied, your new visa. Well, can you come back is the biggest question, right? So that's when a lot of people use the automatic revalidation, because it's for a brief travel. I think it's within 30 days. Individuals who departed to the US for a brief travel to Canada or Mexico can return with a valid, unexpired admission stamps endorsed by DHS. Now, if you're applying for a new H-1B visa, you've never applied, you can still go to Mexico in certain instances to, as long as your paperwork is good and you've never had a lapse of status, to process as third country national. That doesn't mean you can't. The only thing is you can't take advantage of the automatic visa revalidation. So that's the slight difference between the two. Some individuals must still, with expired non-immigrant visas, but with valid admission stamps, like let's say you got an extension on your H-1B, right? You've got an approval notice that puts you through beyond what your previous visa is. That's so applied for a new visa that's still pending, applied for a new visa that was denied. If you're outside the US for more than 30 days, these are all limits on automatic revalidation, not necessarily being able to obtain the visa, because you can only travel within that 30-day period. If you travel to a country other than Canada or Mexico, you don't get that automatic revalidation. Of course, we talked about the state sponsor of terrorism, and then an F1 or J1 who's traveled to Cuba, and an M1 student who's traveled outside the United States. Venkat, you may want to sign off on one, and so when you sign on the other, you don't get that echo. So just to recap, if you haven't had a lapse of stay, your documentation is in order. You can always consider processing at a third country. The automatic revalidation of visas is a protection for those people who may process in Canada or Mexico, but their visa gets denied. They're still able to come back into the United States. That's not afforded to everyone. You would have had to have had the original visa in order to avail yourself of that. So that's the difference. So remember that anytime you travel to Mexico, I'm sure Venkat's going to go over this, you have to have a valid visa to travel to Canada or Mexico. And so Venkat, please join us. And while you're getting your PowerPoint ready to show, we look forward to hearing what you have to say.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for the introduction. And yeah, my name is Venkat, and we have been providing these visa services from past 3 years since 2017. Um, we we are able to help close to 6,000 to 7,000 clients so far, and they range from different visa categories. Let's say F1 visa, H1B, E3, L1A, L1B, L1 blanket, and L1 individual. And recently, a lot of J1, J2 visa holders who are doctors, as well as scientists and the research holders who are unable to travel to their home country due to the COVID restrictions and the flights unavailability and all that. So those folks were able to get their emergency appointments approved in Mexico. A few locations, let's say Monterrey and a couple of locations have been giving these emergency appointments. So many members were able to attend those appointments so far. And just a moment, I'm still having this issue with my other system. I'm trying to bring up the presentation so I can
Sure.
show it.
Well, thank you for being on the show. And, you know, this is a really critical issue for a lot of people as to how to process as a third country national. And, you know, your insight today would be really helpful. You know, what best processes have you seen, best practices? What are some pitfalls that you've witnessed when people are trying to process overseas? I tell people that anytime you're trying to do any type of visa processing, the one thing the consular officers always tell me is the person never read whatever documentation they submitted. So there is some disparity in what they are stating and what the documents state. So I always tell people they got to prepare. Number two, most people are really nervous. I've actually got the opportunity to witness people getting their visas in Chennai when Chennai was like a hotbed. And you go up to the window and you have literally 3 minutes. So it's important that you prepare like you would prepare for a presentation to make sure that you're crisp, you're confident, and because sometimes they sense fear, the consular officer, as maybe a lie. So Venkat, are you able to?
Yes, I'm able to connect.
Okay, good.
Okay.
If he's late, then we can answer some of the questions that are coming in.
He says that he's ready now.
Okay.
Yes, I'm ready now. So let me share the screen. Okay. Can you please make me the presenter? Please?
Okay. Okay, Venkat, see if you can do it now.
Sure. So please let me know once you're able to see the screen.
I believe I did. I don't know whether I did it to the right one because you have two open. So let me know if I selected the right one. Otherwise, I will change it.
Yes, please. Please let me.
There we go.
Right. Yeah. Thank you. And sorry for the delay and this the technical difficulties that I'm facing. All right. Let me go through the presentation. So okay. So this is our website, usvisastampinginmexico.com, and this is our contact details. So what are the services that we provide? So we provide the DS 160 filling guidance, as well as the visa dates booking process guidance, as well as the we'll share the visa dates availability information based on the access that we have. So mostly the way that how clients contact us is, let's say, if they're ready to do their processing in third country. So I mean, like you said, like Lakshmi said, many people know much about Canada because it's an English-speaking country. So whereas coming to Mexico, the language is the barrier where many people don't know much information about the travel as well as the details about the stamping in Mexico. So that's where we do come into picture and help with all the information that they need. So once any clients contact us, then we will create an individual group for them. So that way we can just focus on each and every specific client and we'll share a PDF file which has all these step-by-step process about DS-160, how to register their profile. So what are the details that they need to enter, the common details and all that stuff. Also, we do help with all these accommodation, transportation service in all the locations. So there are two locations. One is interior location, which is inside Mexico, and the other one is the border consulate locations. So going to the interior locations, Mexico City, Monterrey, Hermosillo, Guadalajara. So these are all interior locations where if you need to fly to these interior locations, you must need some sort of visa, either any US valid visa, let's say B1, B2, or any US valid visa, or Canadian visitor visa, or Japan, or Schengen, or any sort of European countries visa. So if you have any of those, then you can directly fly to Mexico. So let's say if you don't have any of those, then you can come to the border locations. Like, let's say if you need to go to Monterrey, you can come to New Laredo border, and then our team can help you with transportation to Monterrey. Let's say if you need to go to Hermosillo, then you can come to the Nogales border, and we can help you to transportation to Hermosillo. So like that, let's say last couple of weeks back or a month back, a lot of people used to get a lot of emergency appointments to Mexico City, where they're unable to get the Mexican visa due to the local Mexican embassy restrictions or something. Then they were able to come to one of these border consulate locations, and we were able to help them with the transportation. So it's not mandatory to get a Mexican visa if you need to travel by land. You can apply for FMM card and keep that along with you while you do while we help you with the transportation in Mexico. That way, you have some sort of document that can help you that you're traveling within Mexico using that specific document. But let's say if you need to fly directly from USA, then the US immigration will definitely ask you for any sort of visa for you to board the flight. But to go to the yes, sir.
Can I ask you a question, Venkat?
Sure.
So let's say I want to process in Mexico City.
Mhm.
What is a US territory that I would fly to that is close to Nogales?
Okay, yes. So you'll be flying to Tucson, Arizona, and our team has visa to enter into USA. So they'll come and pick you up from Tucson Airport, and they'll drop you off at Hermosillo Airport, and you can use FMM card to fly to Mexico City. So
And can you explain to everyone what an FFM card is?
Sure. So FMM card, it's stand for, it's just like our I-94 for the USA, right? It tracks the history about our traveling into USA, as well as exiting the exit and the entry into the USA. The same way that FMM card that will be helpful to record the exit as well as the entry into Mexico.
And is that easy to obtain? Do you all
Yes.
help in obtaining?
Yes, we can help you with obtaining that. You can just get it within 1 day, and it just costs around close to $30 US just to apply and get it. And usually it asks for your basic information, passport number, as well as where are you planning to stay in Mexico, and all those details. And also, it's mexicotouristcard.com is the website where we can get this specific FMM card. And if you're planning to stay less than 7 days, then usually it's free. If someone is planning to stay more than 7 days, then they can apply for the paid version, which is around $30.
Very good.
And let me go to the next slide. So what are the prerequisites? Usually, the official US consulate in Mexico website says that Mexico allows only same visa category renewals. So that is, we are under the same impression from past 3 years, but during this pandemic, in 2020, a lot of people who need to do they change your visa category from either the doctors or different visa category people, let's say even F1 to H1B folks, as well as L1 to L1 to H1, J1 to O1, different visa category folks, they were able to enter into Mexico and they got their visa stamped. Maybe due to the pandemic, it might have, the consulate officer might have considered them to, okay, let us give the stamping instead of sending them to the home country, because due to maybe either unavailability of the flights or the unavailability of the visa appointment dates and all that. So even that is possible. And also I have created a specific web page in our website, a page in our website, which specifically explains about how this is possible. And also we usually gather the previous clients information about what is the previous visa category, what is the current visa category that they're attending, and what are the visa interview questions that they face during the visa interview. So whoever the upcoming clients, they can read through those visa interview questions and they can feel more comfortable about what are the questions that usually the visa officer are asking. So all this information will be available in our website. And also usually the requirement is passport should be valid within at least 6 months from the date of your visa interview. So if someone is attending within 6 months, we'd say just renew your passport and then you go for visa interview. Like I
Right,
said,
and we know that the visa non-immigrant restrictions are valid until March 31st, but even if you have people that are stuck in their home country,
yes.
they can still fly into Mexico
Yes.
after getting a Mexican visa,
Yes.
I guess.
Like 2 or 3 months back, right? So we had close to maybe 15 to 20 members who are unable to get the emergency appointments in India. So they had some sort of either B1 visa or something like Mexican. They were able to get UK visa, which was easy. So they were able to get apply for emergency appointment, and luckily they got the appointments in Mexico and they flew to Mexico City, and from there to Monterrey, so different locations wherever they're able to get the emergency appointment. So 20 to 30 people got their visa approved in Monterrey as well as Mexico City locations during this pandemic, during the last 2 to 3 months. They came from India as well as 3 months back. I have close to a group of doctors actually. They are on B1 visa in Nigeria, and they never, I mean, they had their visitors visa, but they want to come to USA to support the COVID patients and all, to work in the front line. So they were able to come to Mexico and get their visa stamped, and they entered into USA, and they continued their work in different hospitals and all that.
That's fantastic.
Yep. So altogether, how many days process is this stamping in Mexico? Usually it's 2 to 5 days for the non-emergency appointments. Day 1 will be fingerprints, day 2 will be visa interview. And usually in couple of locations, Nuevo Laredo and Nogales, you'll get the same day passport. Let's say if you attend at morning 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. visa interview, you'll get the passport at 3 p.m. For Hermosillo and Tijuana, you'll get the passport stamped next day after visa interview. Mexico City and Matamoros, usually second day after visa interview. And few locations, it varies from 1 to 2 days. And also if clients want to work remotely, we have Wi-Fi and all that in the hotels that we choose. So you can just finish your visa interview at morning and can continue remote work from the hotel, or if you just want to take a couple of days off and you just want to run around location, then yes, my team can help you with the local transportation and all that.
And how safe is it, Venkat?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. That's what you're going to talk about.
Okay. So yeah, is it safe to come to Mexico? We hear a lot of negative things in online or from a lot from internet, right? Like, hey, a lot of shootings and all that, especially in few border locations and all that. So yeah, few people choose to do the adventure of going by themselves. Yeah, that's totally upon the client. But usually we provide once the client arrives to the airport, then my team can help them to pick up and do the local transportation. So they'll be helping them. So they'll be along with them basically. And also the transportation team knows which areas are safe to take the clients either for lunch or dinner or for anywhere that they want to go for any local shopping and all that. So they'll help them. So they'll be there along with them during all the time. So they don't need to worry about the safety if they're going along with the local people.
Great.
The transportation team, they're very trusted, and they've been providing service from past 3 years. So we got a lot of good feedback from all the clients. So I'm going to share that in my next slides. So yeah, my team will be there along with the clients until from the moment they enter into Mexico until they leave the Mexico. Also, the most frequently asked questions is, what if I get a 221G? And what if I get denied? So I have seen maybe 4 to 5 cases of denials from last 3 years out of 6,000 to 7,000 clients. So we can calculate the ratio of the success versus the denials, right? So maybe less than 0.02 or something. So recently we haven't seen much 221Gs in all locations in Mexico, but usually if anyone gets 221G or administrative processing, the average time it takes is usually 1 to 7 days mostly. But in very rare cases, one of my friend's friend he came to New Laredo and he stayed around close to 40 days. That is the longest wait time that I have seen in Mexico for any 221G. Usually,
And what was the basis of his 221G?
Yeah, the 221Gs might vary from either, let's say, service check, or let's say if the visa interviewer wants to verify with the employer about their working details and all that, or mostly service related for the students, and most of the is related to either employment related verification, or sometimes it's like we don't know what exactly they're verifying. So in that case, we can't really say, but the usual time frame is less than 7 days to clear 221G.
Got it.
And so what if my visa rejects? The rejection chance are pretty less compared with home country. And also we have seen very limited cases. And what if it gets rejected? So in case if someone has any doubt that, or if their profile has any issues or anything, then we would say it's better to get some sort of visa that can, Mexican visa or anything that can help them to fly out of Mexico. So that's the reason we say, if your profile is clear, and also if your employer profile is clear, you can definitely plan to Mexico for stamping, if even without getting any Mexican visa or anything. But if profile has any issues, or the employer is blacklisted, if the previous employer or the any issues with their current employer, then we would say definitely get the Mexican visa that can help them to go to a Mexico City, which is a bigger location, and then they can fly to India from that specific location. Maybe I have seen like 2 to 3 members, maybe out of altogether. Yeah, we're able to help them to fly out of Mexico. But you can see the success rate is more than the denial rate. So in case of any worst case scenarios, my team will definitely be there to help them with any information that they need, as well as booking the tickets and all that to the home country.
Great.
So what are the different visa categories? Like I said, F1, H1B. So most common ones are like F1, H1, E3, L1 visa categories. So these are all the different visa categories that come to Mexico for the visa renewals. So recently, a lot of people, especially from Bangladesh, Nigeria, who are in USA, as well as a couple of days back, we had some clients from Jordan who are doctors. Actually, they're looking for the visa stamping through emergency appointment because they're unable to travel to the home country. So we're helping those doctors right now. So a lot of F1 students, actually, if they're doing their second master's, so they're usually getting stamped in home country is a little bit tough, because they need to show the proper reason why they're doing the second master's and all that, and also ties to the home country if they're attending in home country. But in Mexico, usually they don't really ask for the ties to the home country for the second master's. They'll simply ask why they're specifically going for the second master's, and the financial documents, especially for the students who are attending for F1 visa renewal. And also a lot of people who come to F2, USA on F2 visa based on their spouse, they want to start studying, right? So they want to attend some good universities or some sort of they want CPT universities and all that. So they do come to Mexico as well to finish their stamping instead of going to the home country so they can continue their studies. Let me tell you a few instances. 4 to 5 months back, I think, we had few clients who had their, the client is on L1 visa actually, and his son is on L2 dependent visa, and he's getting aged out. So like his age is close to 21 years, where he need to either move out of the US or be on some sort of visa. So he came to Mexico to get his first time F1 visa stamp from L2, so he can continue to stay in US along with his parents as well as to continue his studies. So we are able to help that guy who is 21 years old to get his F1 visa stamp.
Wonderful.
So yeah, we'll help with all the details that the client needs, as well as we'll help with the accommodation, transportation. So we'll do all the arrangements. So all the client needs to do is just fill the DS-160, register their profile, and book the visa dates, and then just plan their book their flight to Mexico. That's it. And apart from that, everything else will take care. So they don't need to worry about where do I need to stay, where do I need to go outside, and for any sort of shopping or lunch or dinner. My team can provide all that information. Let me go to, yeah.
And I like how you said that you had listed for F1 stamping, because I know that even with Canada, there were certain consulates that you didn't want to go to if you were doing F1 stamping. There were certain consulates, you know, for H1Bs that they were very negative. They had a high instance of 221Gs for Indians.
Right.
So it's good that you're keeping track of that and you're able to advise which one they should.
Yes. So, I mean, that is the reason where we are different from, there are many other agents basically, but the way that we differ from any other, the visa agents is we do collect all the information, we do share all this information to the clients, so they feel more comfortable about relating themselves to the previous clients who attended visa interview. So this is just some sample feedback from a client. This guy got stamped for F1 visa, and yeah, so this is the guy whom I spoke about, where they got stamped for their first time. His son, her son got stamped for F1 visa after their L2 visa. So this is this one guy who got his L1 visa denied through USCIS, and he needs to move to F1. So this guy was able to get his F1 visa stamped. This guy moved from L2 to F1. So this is just our feedback. So our clients upcoming clients can know about the way that we're providing services and all that. And we do have all the team in all the locations in Mexico. So they're like altogether nine locations altogether in Mexico, and we do provide service in all the locations.
Excellent.
So, I mean, usually, yeah, what are the charges that are associated for this service? So let's say for all the guidance, for all the information that the client needs. So if one person is attending this interview, we charge $50. If two persons, if it is a family, $90. And if it is 3 or more, we charge $120 flat fee. So that way we can help the way that we need to pay the visa fee in home country, in the local currency. So we do exchange the amount, and then we'll pay in the Mexican banks, in the local Mexican banks in pesos. So that is a little bit, I mean, previously it used to be in 2017, the entire process used to be online. So that way clients were able to attend the visa interview in Mexico, but later on it became hurdle because someone who is in Mexico need to pay the visa fee. So that's where we do help all these clients to pay the visa fee in Mexico, in Mexican banks.
Very good.
And also the accommodation transportation varies from $299 to $599. Maximum would be $599 altogether for the family. So a few locations they just need to stay 2 nights. For a few locations they need to stay 4 nights. So it varies from $299 to $599. And also if the client is full-time employee, so we can provide invoice for reimbursement purpose as well. So they can just reimburse from their employer. So yeah, this is just a sample photos from all the clients from I think 2019, I think, before this pandemic. So this one of our teammate, his name is Ernesto. He lives in Matamoros. So that is a location where we started initially, and now we expanded to almost in 2019 ending. We expanded to almost 8 to 9 locations. Yep. So this is all the feedback from all the clients about the service that we provided and all that. Okay. Yeah, we're looking forward to provide service to your clients. Yeah, please let us know if you have any questions.
Sure. And we've been getting a lot of questions on processing out of Mexico, so we'll make sure to refer those people your way. And if you could do me a favor, Venkat, if you could make me the host again, we'll start taking questions from our attendees. Okay, great. Wonderful. And so before we start answering, start answering questions, I'm trying to see where you are viewing Venkat's screen. Okay, view options.
Okay, I have seen a couple of questions, I think.
Wait a minute, Venkat.
Sure.
We have a moderator, so our moderator will, okay, great.
Yeah. Is he done? Is he done with his presentation or?
Yes.
Yes, and so now, have you made me host? I am host now. Okay, great.
But he can stop sharing his screen.
Okay.
Venkat, you can stop sharing your screen. Yeah.
There we go. I just wanted to get to the last of our PowerPoint. This is a lot of great information, and I liked the fact that we could, hear about some of the things that you stated, which was, success rates and what works and what doesn't work. And so for those who joined late, you can take a look at what we presented. I talked a little bit about automatic revalidation and some issues you should look out for, especially if you are placed at a third-party site. And Venkat gave a really good, expansive discussion on processing out of Mexico. He even shared with us some, the success rates and some issues that some of his folks have had. If you have not joined our Cella Chats forum, please do that. I think my team will send a link through chats. This is a great way in which we can build together a community that talks about their experiences. And most importantly, like I said, I'm doing a lot of work on the legislative front to be a voice for you and to make sure that your issues are heard with Congress and with the Biden administration. So the more people we have, the better voice we can, we can do. The Hispanic community is very good. Hispanic Latino community is very good at coalescing their groups. And I don't think we've been as good in highlighting some of the issues that relate to people from other countries, especially from India. So I think that's a way in which we can have a voice because the majority of the H-1Bs are people from India. So remember, there are different ways to connect with us. I love connecting with you guys. Join us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, or Telegram. And if you've missed one of our webinars, check it out on our YouTube channel. We're always posting new webinars, some resources on YouTube that we don't do as webinars, but we're just posting them up for information. And if you found the content helpful, please comment. I like hearing from you. If you wanted something, you think there was another topic we should have covered, I would, I like hearing that too. And if you found it helpful, please share with your friends. And we appreciate that. If there is a question that doesn't get answered today, or as we're taking questions, I need additional information, email us at info@cellalaw.com. That email goes to a number of people. So putting something like this together is not something that it takes a team, it takes a village. And so we want to make sure that we provide timely responses to you and we serve as a resource. So email us at info@cellalaw.com and me and my team will make sure that your answers get addressed. And a shout out, as I do every week, to Kara Wood, who is one of the team members that really does a lot of the help in putting this together. So thank you, Kara, for everything that you do. And then now we're ready for Q&A. And so Venkat Shaker is the moderator. He will kind of moderate our Q&A and whether the question goes to me or to you.
All right. Thank you, Lakshmi. First question is on H-1B from an anonymous attendee. I have an H-1B approval from two different company employers, A and B. Can I work for both the employers in parallel, or can I work only for one employer at a time?
You can work for one employer at a time. And I think we addressed this before. Concurrent employment it's got to be clearly stated for concurrent. Concurrent means you've got one H-1B and you're working for another employer on an H-1B. What you can do is you can file an amended petition for concurrent employment. And then that way you can work for both. And remember, 40-hour work week is what you're supposed to be working if your H-1B was filed for full-time employment. If you want to work another 20 hours for that other employer, you amend it to say, okay, concurrent employment, part-time for 20 hours.
All right. Another question. Next question is from Mr. Asghar Khan. Hi, Lakshmi. Thanks for having this seminar. My name is Khan. If I have a valid I-797 and I went to an interview in Mexico and I have been stopped in admin process, which will take time to get my visa, can I still enter US with visa revalidation?
Now, if you said that you had a visa, but it expired, then you would still be able to avail yourself of the automatic visa revalidation. If you've never held that visa, you can still go to Mexico to process, but you cannot leverage automatic revalidation. Venkat, do you want to talk a little bit about administrative processing out of Mexico? Have you seen a lot of that?
Sure. Comparatively, administrative processing is less. Let me tell you a few instances. The administrative processing, it varies from, let's say in some cases, let's say in 2018, I think. So there were some restrictions upon our, I think, Muslim brothers. So in that case, for a few people, they were able to put some 221Gs and they just want to review their background and all that. So it happened in few cases. So, but recently we haven't seen any such cases. Most of the case, like I said, the 221G clearance will be comparatively faster. And also, let me tell you, attending at border consulate locations, let's say if someone attended visa interview in Nogales or Nuevo Laredo or Ciudad Juarez, I'm talking 2019 actually. Few people got their, administrative processing, and they were able to show that I-797A with expired visa, and they were able to come back. And I don't know whether they continued their work or not, but once within 7 days or 10 days, once they got their the email from the consulate that their 221G was cleared, then they were able to go back and got their visa stamp. But we don't know whether that's still possible at this current moment, because due to all these different rules, right? So due to all this presidential proclamation and all that, so we're not sure whether that's still possible right now. So it entirely depends upon the CBP officer. When you go to the CBP office and talk to them about your specific situation, so they are the people who decides whether they can let you in or not with expired visa while your 221 is processing.
Right. And usually, they should be able to through the automatic visa revalidation, allow them back in legally.
Okay.
Even with the presidential proclamation, there's nothing that halted automatic visa revalidation. For people who've never had a visa, that may be a problem.
Okay.
So Shaker, next question.
All right. Next question from another AA. H-1B visa applied outside of the country for consular processing. Can I go for stamping in Mexico? What is the risk?
Okay.
I would assume that this person is probably an H1, I mean, on an F1. Go ahead, Venkat. I'm sorry, I interrupted.
Okay, sure. So I can take this question. So usually, I mean, consular processing, right, usually, as far as I know, while the attorneys file for the petition, by default, they apply for the home country because either their previous visa was from home country, or even if it is from some other country, the attorneys have the ability to choose the location where they want to file the consular processing. Is that right, Lakshmi? Usually.
Yes.
Right. So even though it doesn't matter whether that location is mentioned as home country or any other location, you can still come to Mexico or even any other countries for the consular processing, as far as I know. Yes, a lot
Right.
of people, especially when their attorneys file their consular processing as India, Hyderabad, Delhi, or any other location, yeah, they were able to come to Mexico and got their visa stamp. So the location doesn't matter actually, as long as you have proper documentation.
And I would just advise that, as long as proper documentation, you hit the nail right on the head. Whether you're visa processing in your home country or whether it's in Mexico, you want to make sure that there's no status violation. You want to make sure that there's no issues relating to the documentation for the underlying approval. And then, you talk to your attorney, you talk to Venkat, and he can tell you whether it's, what the risks involved are.
All right. Next question from another AA. How long does it take to get an EAD after filing for asylum these days?
Well, EADs are backlogged everywhere. Biometrics and, securing the EAD. And I'll tell you something that everyone should keep in mind. When President Trump was in power, he really gutted. By gutted, I mean, there was not enough personnel there. There's not enough staff, whether at USCIS or any of the DHS and organizations. And so this new administration is having to come in and then fill all these critical positions. Remember, we still don't have the Attorney General that President Biden put forth. They haven't confirmed him yet. And one of the things that he was going to address was immigration. We still don't have a new USCIS director. We have a DHS. So the DHS director said, please be patient with us. I know that everyone is anxious to have all the problems get erased, but they didn't happen overnight and they won't be able to be addressed overnight, but they are working on addressing all these things.
All right. I think his follow-up question is it possible to get EAD before 150 days waiting after filing for asylum?
Well, I know that in many instances, in a number of different processes, they're trying to, by understanding that there are delays, they are really trying to make accommodations on all fronts.
All right. I see some folks putting a question in the chat. Mr. Anil Kumar, I saw your question. I'll take it up in the chronological order, but I'd like all of you to put your questions in the Q&A, please. Next one, Gurmukh Singh. Hi, Mr. Singh. Hi, thanks for great session from Venkat. Good job, Venkat. I have a specific request regarding my son. Do we write to you or to him? Please advise.
No, you can. That's why Venkat's contact was provided. If you didn't see it, email us at info@shalala.com and we can put it up again. Or Venkat, maybe you can put your WhatsApp number in chat so people can contact you directly.
Sure.
All right. So Gurmukh, look for that in the chat, or you just send us an email, info@shalala. We'll send you that information. The next one is Mr. Hoey. Is it possible to expedite EAD after filing for asylum this year?
Not for right now. I mean, I think at some point they will allow for expeditious processing, but if the problem is personnel, right? Who is going to do it? But if you look at our webinar 2 weeks ago, we talked about contacts, emails, phone numbers that you can at least advocate to see if you can get an expedite or get a status inquiry on your pending application. So check that out. So that gives you, we have the emails in there, we've got the phone numbers, we tell you what you need to say, what you need to do to obtain that.
Okay. Next one is from another AA. I have a GC EAD from employer A, and my 485 application is pending approval and is past 180 days. After 1 year of getting my EAD, I lost the job with employer A. Do I need to get on a new job to be in legal status in US with just my EAD from old employer A, or can I take break for a few months until my next job?
So if your I-140 was approved and your 485 was pending for 180 days when you were terminated, then you can work for yourself in same or similar employment, but you have to show that you are that you have some type, because it's an employment-based process, that you have some type of work that you're doing in order to have your application be approved.
All right. How much time do you have?
I've got maybe till 1:15.
1:15. Okay, so we can take some more questions, ladies and gentlemen. So next one is from Karthik Rajashekaran. Hi, I have asked this before. Wanted to ask again as I got new offer. I wanted to be 100% confident. Other attorneys have given different answers. After 485, 180 days pending and I-140 approved, I plan to join a new employer. Question 1, if EB2 becomes faster, the new employer just has to interfile, such as question no, need a perm I-140 at new employer? That's his first question.
Right. Well, your I-140 is tied to your I-485. So, and I'll check on this. It's my understanding in order for you to interfile, you have to be interfiling with the employer where that I-140 is approved, right? And that's why you have to, if you remember at the beginning of October, when I was talking in these webinars, people said, well, we're going to go back to our old employer. I said, okay, that's okay, as long as you have the present intent to work for that employer, okay? As long as you have the present intent to work for that employer. So if you know you're going to change if you changed employers because your I-140 is approved and your 485 has been pending, you can't then use the I-140 from the previous employer to interfile. You could, because when you filed the adjustment, you were working for that employer or you had the intent to work for that employer. What you can do is file a new perm and get a new I-140 for EB2. And then your priority date still ports. That's different. And then you can use a new I-140 EB2 to interfile.
All right, the second question, can I join new employer without getting EAD approval as it takes 11 months to get?
Yes, the only criteria for porting your I-140 or immigrant petition to a new employer, excuse me, is I-140 has to be approved. The I-140 that you filed with your 45, not your previous I-140, whatever I-140 you filed with your 45. And your I-485 has to be pending for 180 days. And you have to work for same or similar employment. And I do want to, although you didn't ask this question, I want to let people know that every time, let's say before you changed employer, you wanted there are people who interfile. Every time you interfile, every time you put in a new I-140, you have to wait another 180 days before you change employers again.
All right. Next question is from an AA. Hey, what do you guys think of processing time if the President Biden will reduce?
I think that eventually it's going to become better. I know that that's one of the things that they are looking to do, but you have to, like I said a few months ago, immigration was gutted. There were 400 new restrictions that President Trump put in place in very, not the ones that you hear about in the news, but they took down what's called the Adjudicator's Field Manual, which is what USCIS adjudicators use as, okay, these are the rules and regulations. And they created an immigration policy manual and they redid everything. So what they're trying to do is get a hold of, what are all the changes we need to make? How can we address this? What's the best mechanism? A lot of those changes that were put in place by the previous administration was from a DHS, temporary DHS officer who was not conferred by Congress. So there's some legality as to whether, the changes that he put in place are valid. So they don't have personnel. They're dealing with this monstrosity of chaos. So I just would say to you, as the DHS head said, just be patient. I think it will get better, but it's going to take some time.
Okay. Now the question from Anil Kumar on the chat. He also submitted here in the Q&A. My I-94 valid until August 2022. My H-1B amendment got denied. So does this H-1B amendment denial change my I-94?
Well, it depends on whether you continue to work. I'm sure it was amended because of location. Was it amended because of location or salary?
Anil, if you want to put the answer, put it in the chat now. Appreciate it. Thank you, Karthik, for your response on the chat. No problem. It's always better to get revalidated, reconfirmed. Karthik, Anil Kumar is not there yet. So let's look at the next one while Anil Kumar is back. Ravindra Ganvir, that's a new person. Welcome. I have a question about family immigration for India, F1, F4 category. Many of the family category visas were transferred to employment category. However, the family category has been standstill for past 4-6 months. Please advise the reason.
Well, remember the proclamation, the presidential proclamation on the immigrant visa ban basically stalled the process for several months. So now there is that catch up of trying to clear that. There are several initiatives within Congress, the president's own immigration bill that looks to clear up a lot of the backlog for family-based processes. So this is kind of the landscape is moving every day. So we have to wait and see while they address, the backlog that was caused by the proclamation last year.
All right. Let's go to the AA. Hi, Lakshmi Garu and Shekhar Garu. I have received my EAD AP. My priority date was January 2012. I-140 approved under EB3. Question. I am planning to change job. I hope it's required to wait 180 days 485 pending status. My 485 receipt date is October 2020. My notice date is November 2015. Which one I need to consider receipt date or notice date?
I would do the notice date. You want to be absolutely cautious. So I would do the notice date, 180 days from the notice date.
All right, Gurmukh Singh says, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Singh. Another one from AA, after filing for asylum while out of status and after 1 year period, is it possible to get granted on EAD, or my case will automatically be referred in the court? In the event that my case is referred to the court, is it possible to get an approval for the EAD before the court hearing?
I think that they are making some changes to when you can file right now for asylum. So, I'm pretty confident that they would issue a EAD before you would have to go to court.
I noticed there's so many questions on asylum these days. I mean, is there some change in the policy in the asylum? Or
Well, there is going, remember, we restricted asylees under the Trump administration, so.
all right, next one from Manish Agarwal. Looks like that's a new person too. Welcome. If my I-140 is approved and I start traveling on my advanced parole, is there a possibility I can get stuck at the port of entry? That's his first question.
Well, it depends. If you're coming back to work for your, are you coming back to work for your H-1B employer?
Well, Manish, you can answer that in the chat. That way, as quickly I can relay that to Lakshmi. His second question, yeah, he says yes.
Okay, then there's no problem. I would always take, your pay stubs, confirmation of employment letter, and that's all you need. And you should not have any problem re-entering on your AP.
All right, the second question, after I get my EAD AP and my I-140 is approved for more than 180 days, can I start working for my own company and file my own 485J?
Yes, so as long as you're working in same and similar, remember, I-140 is approved, whenever, doesn't matter. Based on the notice date, your I-485 has been pending for 180 days. And you can be self-employed as long as you're working in same or similar employment.
Okay. Next one is from an AA. Thanks for helping the community, ma'am. Quick question. If the GCEAD validity is expired and the extension is in progress, then do I need to leave the country or can I stay back legally? Stopped working now 2 weeks ago.
You said the GCEAD is in progress.
Is expired and the extension is in progress. Do I need to leave the country or stay back legally? He's not working since last 2 weeks.
Okay. Email us because there is a provision with, I have to know when it expired. There's a provision with EADs on adjustments where you get to continue working on that for a certain period. So why don't you email us so we can make sure with the dates and everything else that
Yeah, send it to info@chalalaw.com.
please.
All right, next one is from an AA. Our AOS 485 AP EAD were filed recently in October 2020 for both primary and dependent applicants. If the dependent needs to do international travel, how will it impact the dependent and primary applications for 485 AP EAD?
Well, regardless of the primary dependent, adjustment applications are individual applications, right? So if you travel before your AP and EAD is issued, but you have you've got dual intent because you have a valid H4 or L2, when you depart the United States, at least in the previous administration, they have deemed that the AP would be abandoned. They'll still issue the EAD, but the AP would be deemed abandoned. You'd have to reapply once entering in. And Shaker, are there any visa processing questions? So
Yeah, let's see. I don't think there are any visa processing questions. And the questions that we have, I think we'll cover till 1:15. So I would request viewers out there, not to put any more new questions, as the attorney has to leave at 1:15. And then if you can just send an email to us. Huh?
Well, I have a couple of questions for Venkat I wanted to ask him,
Okay.
because we want to avail the benefit of having him with us. So, Venkat, have you seen any problems with people who've worked, who get a second master's degree, but have worked on a CPT? Are they raising that as an issue in Mexico?
No, not really. So there are 2 to 3 locations which are best for such sort of F1 visa renewal for either CPT or OPT students who are currently working. So one is, the primary location would be Monterrey. Second one would be Mexico City. Third one would be New Laredo. These 3 locations are like, they're not really asking much about why they're doing the second master's, like not in detail like they do in maybe home country, right? So they usually, comparatively, right? So I heard from a few folks who tried for their F1 visa renewal in India. Yeah, they got a lot of questions about why second masters, why they're working on CPT and OPT, and from like especially the day one CPT, right? So
Right.
Comparatively, yeah, in Mexico, there are not really much questions about that.
That's great. That's a big issue when you're processing out of India. The other question I have is, recently, Australian E3s are permitted to do premium processing. What are your thoughts about, have you all processed any E3s out of Mexico?
Yes, I think 1 month back, I think 2 to 3 members were able to get the E3 visa stamped in Mexico. So before that, right, USCIS doesn't have this premium processing. That's the reason why Australian citizens or E3D visa holders, their dependents, come to Mexico, because they're unable to process their visa extension through USCIS, as it's taking more time. So that's the reason they opt to come to Mexico. But now I think not many people will come, not many Australian citizens will come to Mexico for the visa stamping, because USCIS is allowing them to extend their E3 visa itself from USA itself with help of the premium processing.
Right, but they could get premium processed in the US. They still may not have a valid visa. Go to Mexico, get their visa stamped,
Yes.
and then go to India, because a lot of them, their families in India, so they want to travel to India.
That is right. Yeah, if their primary intent is to travel out of the country, then yes, they can definitely come to Mexico, get it stamped, and they can just enjoy their vacation in India without any hassle, right?
Right.
That's the primary reason, right? A lot of people who work in US, they might not have much vacation, like they just go to India for 2 to 3 weeks or something like that. Then they don't want to waste the time for like 2 to 3 days just going around the consulate over there. A lot of people come to Mexico because that as a reason, and many people come because due to the processing times of 221 is pretty less, and also getting 221 is less. So that's the reason many people.
Right.
What do they do is, let's say,
it's like a safer bet. And we shared your contact with our E3 forum as well. So
sure.
I wanted to just let you know that. Shaker, any more?
Yeah, there are quite a few questions. So like I said, I'm requesting everybody not to submit anymore. So please do send your question if we, for some reason, did not answer that you already submitted to info@shalalaw. And if you're not able to submit, please do send an email to info@shalalaw.com. Be glad to send you the response. Okay, next one is Anil Kumar. I think he was clarifying here, is the guy who was asking about I-94 valid until August 22nd. H-1B amendment got denied. So does the H-1B amendment denial changes my I-94? I think you had a question and his answer was location. I don't know what.
So if you're working in the new location, that's kind of a problem. What they should do is, I don't know why an amendment for a new location would be denied. You should try to file for because it's an amend, the other one is still valid, but you're not supposed to work for the work at the new location. There are instances where you can work for a certain period without having an issue. So email us and I'll tell you some best practices on how to address that.
Okay, another one is from another AA. I delayed applying for asylum because of my mental illness and chronic anxiety. Is this a permissible legal basis for the delay?
You'd have to talk with your attorney about that. There are some considerations that they will keep in mind, but you know, in all types of immigration, there's discretion, and it's up to your attorney to be the advocate and, you know, highlight the discretion that should be conferred on your particular case.
All right. Gurmukh Singh is asking a different question. In a separate matter, John applied for I-131, 765, and 485 on October 16th. The I-131 processing time shows 5 months, which will get over this Friday. The online status still says that the case was received with no further update. What is your advice with regard to USCIS follow-up?
Right. Even though because the processing time on the website says that it's within a certain date, after that date, and I think like I said, look back on not our last week's webinar, but the webinar the week before.
Well, he says, I attended the webinars on best practice to connect with USCIS, looking for any additional advice you have, as I have to travel to India in April 2021.
Okay, April 2021. And if you don't have a visa and you have to travel, maybe one of the things you look for is going to Mexico and getting an H-1B visa stamped out of Mexico prior to your travel through secure, you know, because you would be, I would imagine that you've already had an H-1B. So, you know, either in India, if you've already had an H-1B visa and it's expired within a 24-month period, you'd be eligible for Dropbox in India. Venkat, what is the Dropbox procedure out of Mexico?
Is he there?
Yeah, Venkat?
Looks like he'll come back. You want to take the next question?
Sure. Oh, there he is.
Back.
Sorry, sorry, I was on mute.
It's okay. Dropbox processes out of anybody who's eligible for Dropbox.
Okay, Mexico, I mean, usually to attend in third country, right?
Right. You can only do Dropbox if you've had the visa, if that's where you processed your visa originally. So if someone has an expired H-1B within the past 24 months from India, they still can process their visa out of Mexico, right?
Yes, but need to attend visa interview because the Dropbox is not possible in Mexico. Everyone
Right.
needs to attend visa interview no matter where they process. Even someone has attended the previous visa interview in Mexico, still they need to attend visa interview again in Mexico for the second time.
Got it. So, you know, for the guy who just asked the question, that may be, you know, another solution for him of those two, if your AP doesn't come in time.
All right, next one, Karthik Rajashekaran, I think he wanted a clarification on the dates. Did you say 180 days of pending 485 from notice date or receipt date?
I said I would do it from the notice date. You could probably do it from the receipt date, but you're talking about a 2-week differential. So, you know, why not use the path that's most conservative when you're making this assessment?
All right. Next question is from an AA. My husband was called in for I-485 interview at the USCIS office, February 2020. Should I file for inquiry out of processing time with the USCIS as it has been over 13 months now?
Yes.
All right, next one is AA. I have public drunkenness issues with district court. Can I be granted EAD before clearing them?
Yeah, I mean, they'll process your EAD. And public drunkenness, it depends on the charge per se, is not, yeah, it's just one, it may be even a misdemeanor, but, you know, they'll still process the EAD. The question will come up when they're processing the 45. And Karthik had followed up. I just saw it because it popped up on my screen that there was a 3-month differential.
Yeah.
You know, the regulations say that the I-45 has to be pending for 180 days. You can always make the argument that pending, because it doesn't tell you whether it should be from the receipt date or the notice date. So you can always make the argument that pending means it's been received. But like I said, I tend to be very conservative in my approach. And so whatever date is latter, I try to use that for all processes. But that is what the regulations state. And it does not, you know, overtly say that it should be a notice date or the receipt date. It just says it should be pending.
All right, I think there's a follow-up something on Rajshekaran on the chat. October 27 RD and January 14th ND, notice of receipt, they're downgrade.
Yeah, so I respond to that.
Yeah. All right, gentlemen and ladies, you know, please don't submit any more questions. I think we said that about 10 minutes ago. My last question will be from Frank Ikubar. But Frank, please hang on. There are a couple of questions before you. So like I said, you know, please do send to an email to info@shalala if we could not answer your question or if you're not able to submit your question right now. All right. So here is the next one from an AA. Are these permissible reasons for filing asylum late? Being mental ill for a long time without causing any harm.
Those asylum questions? Yeah, okay. No, asylum.
Are these permissible reasons for filing asylum late? Number one reason, being mentally ill for a long time without causing any harm.
You need to go to your attorney who filed your asylum and try to see, it's all discretionary. There is no, okay, we've got an exception if, you know, you've had health issues, or there are several reasons why people may file late, but it's, but they don't, there's no specific exception for that. So it has to be a discretionary option. Please contact your immigration attorney who filed your asylum and they will be able to advocate for you. Good luck.
Yeah, he's got two other, you know, reasons, but like the attorney said, you know, just contact the original attorney who filed. And if you want to switch attorney, you know, just send us an email, then we'll try to see what we can do. Frank, you said you have an immigration question, and then your question is, I received an NTA at the immigration court, but I had sent I-130 and I-485 about 2 weeks earlier and still waiting on receipt of notice I-797. What do I tell the judge at my master's hearing?
Tell them you want to get an immigration attorney. And what you'll have to do is there's a procedure in which they can adjust your 485 in court, you know, and have your attorney, whoever your deportation attorney is, do that. So they would just be, because you have it pending, you can, you know, that's one of the, I guess, remedies is that you can have your 485 and they would just adjust it in immigration court.
All right, Gurmeet Singh, although Frank, I said because I saw his name in the lab, but he also had in the earlier saying Frank said I had a question. But Gurmeet Singh has some follow-up. As a follow-up, is there a chance that I-131 being deemed abandoned in case of international travel while awaiting I-485 and I-65 decision is likely to change in short term?
They'd have to do it. It was done through, it wasn't an issue before. So that's one of the things the Biden administration would have to remedy. But
So
for right now, that's what the law is.
Yeah, he says, I have a valid L1 visa. My question was more around I-131 abandonment.
Yeah, so you travel on your L1 visa, you have to apply for your I-131 again when you come back. unless the rule gets changed by the Biden administration. But that has been the policy so thus far.
Okay,
And that's got to be the last question.
that is the last question, but since there was one question there with one sentence, I'll take that. And that's about all. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Venkat Challa, are there processing Dropbox applications in India now? That's his question. And that's the last question for today.
Yes, if you obtained your original visa in India and you're applying for the same visa in the same country and your previous visa expired within 24 months, you can do Dropbox in India.
That's about it. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. If we didn't answer your question, if you didn't get an opportunity to answer, to submit a question, please do send us to info@shalalaw.com. Lakshmi.
And I want to thank Venkat for joining us today. It was really helpful. I just loved how you structured your company and how people, I mean, at least for me, I felt like, your folks will take care of everyone from the time they consider, processing out of Mexico, take them into the country, make sure that they're okay while they're there, and help them come back. And that's a great service you provide.
Well, one last comment from the chat. Mr. Hove, says, how can I retain you as attorneys?
Email us at info@shalalaw.com. We're happy to help.
Yeah, just since you've decided to retain us, just tell all your friends and family members, neighbors, everybody across the street, in front and the back also. Convince them, have them send us an email. Be glad to help. Thank you for considering.
Okay.
And let's hear what Venkat was about to say something. Go ahead, Venkat.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to present about our services as well as letting our service. Thank you for everything, Lakshmi and Chalala group. And also, I have many other clients who are looking for the attendance service as well. So I'll share your information among my clients as well.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. And for all of you who are listening, we are going to have a live H-1B seminar again on Friday. So look out for that. We're going to talk about issues relating to, first day cap, as well as how you should file, what you should look out for in RFE, and the process and cap gap and the whole 9 yards. So join us Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Register, share it with your friends. If you've got a lot of F1 friends that are filing this year, even if they're not using our law firm, I'd like them to use our law firm. But everything that we provide in terms of information are helpful for whoever you use. So thank you, Venkat. Thank you, Shaker, again for your, and I look forward to seeing you all next Wednesday, if not this Friday. Stay safe. And Venkat, you and I, I've got a lot of folks that I think would be very interested in your services. I know that I was really impressed today. So thank you again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Venkat, for your help, and be in touch. Thank you, Lakshmi.
Bye-bye.
Have a good day, everybody.